I'll call the special meeting of the Burleigh County Commission for January 15th, 2025 to order. First item would be roll call, please.
Commissioner Woodcox.
Here.
Commissioner Munson.
Here.
Commissioner Bakken.
Here.
Commissioner Schwab. Chair Bittner.
Here. Okay, Commissioner Schwab's wife has a doctor's appointment, so he's unable to be here right now. The purpose of this meeting is a discussion of creating a new position for Burleigh County Administrator, and then a secondary discussion regarding the reorganization of the Building and Grounds Department. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to Pam Binder, our HR Director. Welcome, Pam.
Good morning, Chairman Bittner and Commissioners. I put together a presentation which you guys have a copy of, and it should be up on the screen here once you can flip it over. And I will do my best to be technologically savvy. We had decided to do an HR workshop. I think I talked to each one of you because rather than me bringing you versions of a county administrator and someone saying not what we want, I want to get your input. No decisions will be made. I just need your input on these two items. So we can feel free to discuss them. I have the presentation. I gave you copies of the presentation and copies of the example job descriptions that we use to compare, and then the county administrator job description as well. So I have that on the screen. We can go through that. Okay. This one should look a little familiar because this is your portfolios. We are a commission portfolio county, and each of you have portfolio departments assigned to you. And this is the new ones. So I think the auditor is the only one that moved or was added to. Okay. When I was researching, there's three main types of county government structures, and they include, and this is in our county management North Dakota Century Code. The first one is what we are. The commission system in which an elected board of county commissioners acts as the legislative body of the county and also performs executive functions such as naming the heads of departments. Often there is no single head administrator, which we don't have right now, although occasionally the commission board will appoint a chief administrative officer. The second is the actual council executive system where everybody is elected. So the county administrator would be elected along with the commissioners. The third is the council administration. This is the formal makeup, but you still appoint the county administrator. They don't have veto power, and they can be removed by the commission at any time. So I put X's by the ones that were, the one that we are, the one that we don't want to be, and then a question mark on the third one, because I don't think we're even remotely there if we go there. Okay, so in your packet, I compared 5 county administrative positions.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a quick question? You said you don't, number 3, you don't like it at all? Why would that be?
It's more of a formal, it's the formal approach, and there has to be notices, and there's different requirements to it. You guys are trying to do this informally.
Right.
And you want to make sure that you keep the power, is what I've been hearing loud and clear from each of you.
Right.
So we want to make sure that one is our best bet.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I think our biggest concern is not creating more bureaucracy because this body functions as an opportunity to solve problems, and that's the flexibility I think we have that our voters and constituents enjoy. So not interested in creating more bureaucracy, but more continuity and efficiency for our constituents.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on? The 5 county administrator positions that I found was the Cass County in North Dakota, and that's from July 2018. County administrator for Pope County, Minnesota, that's from November 2022. County administrator for Cass County, Minnesota, Don't know how long that is. It doesn't look like it's too old of job description. I have the city administrator for City of Bismarck, and it's dated November 2021. City administrator for City of Mandan, and that's dated July 2021. So they're relatively updated, recently job descriptions. So what I did is, to keep you guys from having to read everything right now, I put the job summaries up, and they're in the position order. So the job summary for the county administrator for Cass County, North Dakota, I highlighted the keywords. It's appointed by the county commission, chief administrative officer. That means they don't have the formal arrangement either. Responsible for oversight and supervision of all appointed county department heads, provides results-oriented leadership and direction for the overall operations of the county, administration for all county ordinances, regulations, resolutions, policies, programs, and functions of government under the jurisdiction of the county commission, direct supervision of county service delivery, chief budget officer, chief staff person for the county commission. And they also do facilities management. They're in charge of the human resources office, and they're the county's risk manager. So this person has a lot to do. Plus, they are named on the diversion project for the river. They're on that board. The Pope County, Minnesota has planning, directing, coordinating the policies and directives, ensure uniform administration within and among the various departments, supervisor, and setting policies, goals under the direction of the county board. Okay, then we have Cass County, Minnesota. Under the direction of the Cass County, Minnesota Board, administers and manages the county's operations, manages a staff of department heads, directing county programs, coordinates Cass County operations, interests, and needs. And the City of Bismarck, short and sweet, responsible for managing the day-to-day operations. City of Mandan serves as the chief administrative officer, responsible for directing the operations. Do you see a theme? On ours, that how it stands right now, and I see the need that it does need to be reworded. Our county administrator job description says, under supervision of the Board of County Commissioners, responsible for oversight of most day-to-day county operations, researching, planning, and recommending to the county board any countywide policies and objectives for action, implementing board actions and resolutions, budget development and capital improvement plans, supervision and evaluation of appointed department heads. And then these are the 3 responsibilities of that county administrator as it stands right now. And these were some of the things that you were questioning on the last time I brought this before the county commission. Some of the wording was more absolute, and we can change that. So if we summarize the county administrator job descriptions, we have the similar duties. Directs the day-to-day operations of the county, creates and implements countywide policies and procedures directed by the county commission, supervises appointed department heads, performs the performance evaluations for all appointed department heads, active in recruitment and selection for the upper-level county employees, responsible for preparing the strategic plan, acts as the risk safety manager for the county. And then we have some one-offs with the county administrators. Prepare agendas and minutes for the county commission meetings, acting as the clerk of the commission. This is Minnesota. This isn't a North Dakota one. So that will make a difference. Act as facilities director for the county, creates and implements county ordinances, serves as public information officer, represents the commission at government and professional associations, media events, public meetings, and civic organizations, oversees the county's procurement policy. That was an interesting one. Responsible for contracts and contract management for the county, and represents the county in legislative issues that affect its operation. So we have the similarities, and then we have the one-offs. And some of them, because they come from a different state laws might be different and allow, where North Dakota doesn't, for like the boards and agenda, the minutes, where we have in our century code that the auditor is the clerk of the board.
Mr. Chairman, do any of these new people we would hire, any whatever you want to call them, administrator, Do they have the right to hire and fire?
Not without county commission approval.
Okay.
Because you guys still appoint them.
Okay, so should that be written in here, or is that just an assumed thing
We-
that they can't hire and fire?
We can write it in to where they have
Well,
to make recommendations to the Board of Commissioners for termination, hire.
Hiring, okay.
And as Director Binder had said, this is a work, oh, sorry. Normally loud enough, but a good enough. And like Director Binder said, this is a workforce meeting to try to decide if this is what we want and what should be added or deleted, right?
Yes.
You know, so if Commissioner Woodcox is suggesting they cannot hire and fire without our approval, then that would be something we would want in the document.
I would think so.
I think
Maybe it's there in
we're
different
probably
wording.
all on the same page with that particular item, so I think we should just figure
Yep.
to write that in.
And I think, although the disciplinary action should be done with the portfolio holder commissioner, I don't think it needs to come to a full board meeting if there's disciplinary action, unless it's to an extent to where it needs to.
I think that's fair. You
Yep.
know, I mean, we've all been involved in those kind of things, so.
So these are the essential job duties that are on there, and it's coordinate any county activities and committees not specifically assigned to by statute to county elected officials. So if you are specifically assigned to a portfolio or any type of committee, that's yours, that's not the county administrator's. You can have them come, but that's still the commission portfolio holder's responsibility. The county administrator serves as a liaison between the general public and county board to remedy complaints, discuss expected solutions, and serve proper notification to department heads and commission to discuss concerns. So they're the liaison, the flow-through person. And that doesn't mean that the department heads can't come directly to the commission, because they should still be able to.
Commissioner Bakken?
Yeah, the other thing with this too is, I don't want to unintentionally down the line build a system where people think that's their first point of reference too. I mean, part of us being commissioners is our accessibility. And I don't want to see that ever change. I want people reaching out to us, first and foremost, and then we can help navigate to where the portfolio is, or the administrator can do that as well as part of the process. But the one thing I am very concerned about is making sure that we are that point of contact. We're the ones responsible for the public reaching out to us when they have a concern. And I like that nimbleness with the Burleigh County Commission.
Okay, we can reward it that way. And then it says manage and supervise non-elected directors, department heads, and serve as liaison to the county board to determine solutions for concerns, ensuring proper accountability in each department. And you guys have already expressed that the department heads can come to you directly. So it's a liaison if needed, but department heads should still have access to the board. Solicit, prepare, and oversee contracts for the board. I know currently this is done in the auditor's department, but I think we need, I don't know if finance wants to take it, but we need to get that all in order, because I haven't found the Verizon wireless contract that I've been looking for. And it's needed at this point. And there's others that we can't find, so that has to become a more organized process. Okay. Attend county board meetings, participate in discussions, and formulate special studies and reports as requested, and on own initiative, adhere to orders and policies of the Board of County Commissioners in the operations of the county government. And that one could be reworded a little bit too. Administer any of the affairs of the county-wide, the county which the county board has authority to control and delegate. Coordinate and work closely with the finance director in reviewing budget results with department heads to monitor performance against budget and present financial or fiscal status of the county board, to the county board. I need glasses. just to see from far away now. Okay. So those were the essential duties, which we can do some fine tuning with, because I don't want to put something in there that will limit us, but I don't want to make this a position where the county administrator has all the responsibility of getting things done, but no authority to do it. Because then we don't need the position, if all we're gonna have is a figurehead in it. So we have to kind of walk the fine line between making sure you guys still have the control and the power, but allowing the county administrator to do more of the interaction day-to-day with some of the department heads.
Or the operations side.
The operation side, the day-to-day.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcox.
there's nothing in this that I can see that, who's going to coordinate investments? Who's going to be in charge? Does that go to the
By
auditor? Or does that
statute,
go to
that's the treasurer. We can't change that.
Okay.
That's statute. That's
Okay.
North Dakota Century Code.
Okay.
This position can be on the investment committee and can give recommendations, if they have recommendations, financial recommendations to the auditor treasurer, but it still is that role that makes the decisions. Any other questions? Okay. The next is the education and experience for the position. Cass County, North Dakota has the bachelor's degree or master's degree preferred, and there was really no clear experience requirements. The experience was more knowledge of the different facets or functions that county administrator does. I'm guessing that they had somebody grow into the position from the way the job description is written. Pope County, Minnesota, master's degree and extensive experience, but they don't say what's extensive. They don't define it, or a combination of equivalent education and experience. Cass County, Minnesota has a bachelor's degree in public administration or related field plus minimum 5 years public administrative experience, or any combination of education experience that provides equivalent knowledge, skills, and abilities. The city of Bismarck, and this was on their actual vacancy ad that they had out last October. Well, I think it was the October before last. Requires a master's degree in public or business administration, finance planning, or closely related field, along with a minimum of 7 years of management and supervisory experience that include management of human, fiscal, and material resources. And then the city of Mandan, they're looking for the master's degree, and they require 3 to 5 years of related experience. And this is what we currently have on ours. It's bachelor's degree in public administration, business administration, or related field, at least 5 years related city or county administrative experience, a CEO or a COO, or other corporate or executive level management or administration experience in public or private sector, or an equivalent combination of education and experience may be acceptable. Master's degree in public administration, business administration, or related field is preferred. So we're not requiring it, we're preferring a master's. Is there any comments on education and experience?
No, I think that's pretty clear, the way it's written there.
Okay.
I like ours.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, do we think this
Commissioner Woodcock.
is adequate experience and education, or is it too much?
I don't think it's too much,
Oh.
because we're asking for a pretty high level
Yeah, we are.
position,
Well, the one with 7 years of experience, that's a lot of,
Well, ours isn't,
Ours
does it
is
say?
at 5.
Ours is 5.
Yeah.
5 related.
okay.
Commissioner Bachman?
Well, and one of the things too is we offer the opportunity for continuing education. So for somebody to grow into this position, that avenue is there if somebody expresses an interest and wishes to continue their education to get into this position. It's a good way to retain the institutional knowledge that we need of the county, plus get somebody the education that they need to grow into this position. So the continuing education piece, I think, is very important that we already offer as the county. So,
But the requirements, when we post this job, should be there. Don't we have to stick to those requirements? I mean, we can't have somebody in there and.
Right, but I'm
gonna get
talking
my
down-
CPA in 2 years or
Yeah, I'm
whatever.
talking down the line,
No.
if somebody wants to
Because,
continue that.
they have to hit the pavement running almost, so.
I think what Commissioner Bakken means is if they have a bachelor's degree, we can hire them if they
Yeah.
have the experience, and then they can have the opportunity to go back and get their master's.
Right, as long as they have the foundational education and.
Right, I realize that.
That foundation, they can, continuing education, grow into that position as well.
And we don't know who's out there and what we could find.
Right.
Okay. Next is just a possible county administrator structure. And I just put this together as a visual, so this is not in concrete at all. This was put in Excel, so it was meant to move. So we have the county commission, county administrator under the commission, finances under the county administrator directly, and human resources, because finance and human resources are considered administration. We're the back-end departments, so the county administrator, we're right there with them. The other departments are underneath the county administrator as well, the appointed departments. You'll see the auditor treasurer and the tax equalization is kind of over there on their own, because that's headed by an elected official. And the elected officials are over in their own box because they are elected, and the county administrator would not preside over the elected officials. They would work with the elected officials, but they wouldn't preside. So that's just giving you kind of an idea. So some people are visual and need that idea in their head of, okay, where does everything fit? So this is how it could be. Are there any questions on county administrator? I'm pretty clear that you guys want me, that the commission wants me to word it to make sure that there is nothing in there that says the county administrator has absolute power to do hiring, firing, of appointed department heads, or also the department heads have access to the commission, so they can't go through, they don't have to, they're not required to go through the county administrator to get to the board.
Right. And I'd like to also see something that makes certain that that position knows that they, have to work either with the portfolio holders or the commission as a whole, so that we're aware of the things that are going on. Because I could see us kind of losing oversight.
Right.
I'm not sure how to word that, but you kind of see what I'm.
One thing to note is that the counties that have that county administrator, usually the HR director either falls under that county administrator, or the HR director was like the assistant county administrator, and I really didn't understand that until I started reading the job descriptions. If you truly read the job descriptions, you'll see that there's a good chunk of them that are actually HR functions. So that's part of my job, too. So that's why my department has to be restructured if we have a county administrator in some form. Okay. Any more questions on the county administrator? I think I have a pretty clear understanding of what you want. It may take couple rounds of wording to get it right, wordsmithing, but I think I have it.
Okay. Anything else on that, commissioners?
I like the direction we're looking.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. The next item on the agenda, well, I guess the chairman has to say.
Say again. Oh,
He did turn it over to you, so.
Wow.
yeah. I haven't had a chance to study what you put together here. But basically, we want to have a discussion regarding the organization of the Building and Grounds Department, because the Building and Grounds Supervisor is retiring effective February 14th. And so we're going to need to fill that position. And we may want to be changing some of the duties and the responsibilities with that position. And I think Pam has developed a couple of different job descriptions here, if you want to explain that a little bit.
Yes, and back part of your packet is the building and grounds job descriptions. And we have the building maintenance tech 1, 2. We have those positions currently. And then we have the building and grounds manager. That's what Kevin Quinn is. And Kevin Quinn has been with Burleigh County, I think, since we bought the Provident building in 1995. I think Kevin came with the building, is my understanding. Kevin has decided to retire because he can. He's fortunate enough to have reached his rule of 85. So now we're looking at, no matter what we do, there will be change. Because Kevin had the knowledge of the Provident building, all the little quirks with its current systems, also the courthouse, all the quirks with its current systems. We're looking at remodeling the Provident building, and when that's remodeled, it will be a fresh start for whoever is here. But until then, we don't know what we'll find, but Kevin may know. So that's why the building and grounds is on here. You see the current org chart. We have Kevin, and then we have all of the building and grounds technicians underneath him. We have 3 2s and 1 technician 1. We would like to hire building and grounds technician 2s, but they are very hard to come by. Sanford is looking, MDU was looking, one other big company was looking, I can't remember, for the same position. And they're kind of a catch-all because they're dealing with snow removal at one time and fixing the boiler system at the other time. I actually had Mike Kruckenberg and Kevin and the new building tech Shane in my office, and they were able to get another one of my heaters going in my office because since they put the windows in, I could have hung meat in that office on Monday and Tuesday, and it would not have spoiled. So I had put in a request to see if there's anything they could do, and they did it. They were all great. Mike, Shane, Kevin were all great. But Kevin had the knowledge. You need to do this, you need to look at this, and we won't have that when Kevin's gone. So we're going to have to adjust for that. Okay. So I did a pie in the sky org chart. Because I'm looking at a different scenario, possibly a facilities director to take on more of the project end of it for the majority of our buildings, because we have the detention center, we have the Provident building, we have the courthouse, we have Burleigh East. The highway department is relatively new, and Marcus's crew takes care of that one. But we have snow removal for all those buildings. We have a renovation of the Burleigh East, renovation of the Provident building. And the detention center is now 8 years old, and there's a lot of quirks with it. There's been a lot of different odds and ends that go wrong that have to be fixed.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about that in particular. I had a meeting last week with a couple of the people from the department, and I got some pictures sent to me of some things that have been kind of on the back burner out at the jail for a while. And I think what I'll do is I'll send you guys the pictures for information purposes, and then we don't need to discuss them. But we've scheduled a meeting for today in particular to look at one problem that the design up on the roof, the design of the air handler system has these big sheet metal vent covers, where the air gets sucked up into the intake and then goes into the air handlers and goes through the heating system, and then it gets exchanged and put out. Well, anyway, when there's a heavy snow or a snowstorm, these things are getting full of snow, and it blocks everything, and so the system won't run, and the guys have to get up in there and physically shovel the vent areas, because the way the snow comes off the roof, it fills in around these things, and these things are too close to the other roof, so it's hoovering all of that snow up into the machines. And so these things are big. There's like 8 of them, and they're like 8 foot by 28. Some could be 8 by 36. or something, feet. And then, so guys are up in there, and some of them are like just barely off the ground like this, so they gotta get in there somehow and shovel the snow out from under those things. And I'm surprised they're even willing to do it, you know? And then other pictures will show you the snow inside the machine and the little door that you have to go through and access and shovel the snow out into the building for it to melt. So you'll see those. And then I'll also send you some pictures of, it's a different subject, but a real current issue, is a bunch of, looks like either corrosion or something inside these big check valves in the water handling system. And when you see those pictures, you'll understand what I'm saying, that these things are probably going to need to be replaced with like a stainless steel, because I think we replaced one of them with a stainless steel unit already. But there's, I think there's 8 of those as well. And then there's issues like timers for showers that are getting shorted out, and there's kind of a long list of things that we're going to be working on as part of this process. But getting the right person in to oversee all of those will be the challenge, and that's why we're looking at the job description. So I'll send you those pictures now that you have the context, and then I am meeting with sheriff and somebody from plumbing and heating operation today at 1 o'clock out at the jail. If you're on the jail committee, if you wanted to attend that would be fine, because that conversation will be coming up, because how we're going to pay for that would likely be through the jail capital improvement type of thing or something. And so this is early part of the discussion. I'm sure it's sounding like the air handler type of question is going to get expensive enough that just my guess is that we'll probably need to involve like an architect or an engineer firm or something because of the Century Code. But so then I want to give it back over to Pam, but I also had a question as far as the highway department. Are you comfortable with the way you're doing maintenance now, or do you think that we would, be bringing you into the?
Commissioners, I was just sitting back there and thinking about that, and we do a lot of the things, and a lot of the stuff is pretty easy for us, changing filters and stuff like that. But an individual, a good facilities director would be an incredible resource for us, because they're on top of the latest technologies and buildings, heating, cooling systems, things like that. We would definitely like to be involved in that. At a minimum, it's kind of a dash line over to the highway department. It may be a solid line even, but, to a minimum, it's a dash line, because I would like to be involved, have that person involved with our facilities.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, because I think that would be helpful as well. Sheriff Lieben, did you want to add anything in particular on this? We discussed it a little bit, but.
Oh, not me. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, one thing I'd caution, both of these commissioners sit on the jail committee. If 3 of you are out there, that's a quorum, and we haven't public noticed that.
I'm busy. I won't be
Okay.
there.
All right. I just wanted
I didn't think about that.
Yes, I
Good
want to
call.
make sure we're not violating the law there. So as far as Burleigh East, I would kind of echo what Marcus said. We do not get support out there currently, and we would appreciate that. As you're aware, when I came before the commission, I have no experience in project management for a remodel. We're getting up to speed, so I do support, a facilities director position that could oversee even some at the jail, like I've spoke with you, Commissioner. Sometimes I feel like it's our department that's driving the maintenance out there and not the maintenance program. And so sometimes I think it would be good to have that facilities director position that can work with us on that.
Okay, so it brings up a couple questions that I have for you. One of the maintenance techs said to me at a meeting that when Kevin leaves, who's going to be handling our time cards? And I thought, well, The Sheriff's Department, I'm sure has, we've talked about a specific program change for time cards for basically countywide. And I'm thinking we're probably gonna get there, but would you have a suggestion on what we do with the time cards, and how are you handling time cards with the Sheriff's Department?
So, Mr.
Out
Chairman,
there.
Commissioners, and this is kind of a weird situation because 3 maintenance workers are paid for in the detention center budget. But they're not employees under the detention center. They're employees under Kevin Quinn as a department head. And so we don't exercise any supervisory authority over those positions. Now, in the interim, we have our processes, how we do our own time cards. But that would be like, we have a relationship with finance, but we don't exercise any supervisory authority or administrative authority over finance. And so we can, I think that might be the easiest solution. I would say it would probably fall to either us or the HR director in the absence of a department head. Again, this is kind of goes back to where a county administrator would be, good, because when you lose a department head who exercises supervisory and administrative authority for that branch or division.
Sure.
So, I mean, go ahead, Commissioner.
Commissioner
I
Woodcock.
just had a question. We don't want to forget Morton County, because we're in the process of picking a meeting right now, today maybe, I don't know, of our jail maintenance, the entire Morton, Burleigh County. So they will have some input on what we do, and also, of course, the finance, the same as we are, but we wouldn't want to forget them, that they're in there. And you talk about doing something, I prefer to go through the jail maintenance committee, because then we all know what we're doing, and we've worked well with them already so far. I don't want to mess that up if we don't have to. Did I make any sense?
Yes, I think.
I didn't really catch
Well,
it.
I think what Commissioner Woodcox is saying is before we make any decisions on changing the air handler systems or anything like that, we have a process in place, the jail committee, the governance board, which would then, by our bylaws, come to the commissions as needed. I think that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
Well, that part
So-
makes sense, but.
Yes.
But we are gonna meet and take a look at those air handlers today.
Oh, yes, definitely. But again, I think like Commissioner Woodcox is saying, is we're in this with Morton County,
Sure.
and so we got to make sure that we got their approval on spending out of certain funds out there. So.
Sure, I don't have any problem with that whatsoever.
And as far as, how the buildings and grounds works, I'll throw a little other caveat out there. One of the other options that we've never considered is, do we just move the jail maintenance position under the authority of the sheriff? And then administer that as part of, that operation. Because I've got a lot of questions and concerns as we lose, Kevin, and, without me having supervisory authority over those maintenance workers, how do I ensure our operation stays compliant with state law, jail rules, and all of that?
I'm glad you mentioned that. I was gonna lead up to that, but, it seems to me that the way we do it currently is not real effective for the jail. I think that the guys rotate, and I like the idea of them rotating between buildings so there's cross-training. However, you got one guy who may be more knowledgeable about the particular systems at the jail, that when that thing goes down, you need him. And I don't understand why 3 of the positions are in the budget for the sheriff's department without that supervisory role. Because the conversations I've had with the sheriff is there's always questions about budget and spending and whose responsibility it is to do certain things. And I think what happens at that jail is more appropriate under the sheriff with like a supervisory look with a director, a facilities director or something, to accomplish what we need out there, right?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, if I could make a suggestion, and maybe we form a working group, because I don't know if we can, come up with a direction, in this time frame, because I think, there is options, and what Commissioner Bittner is referring to is overall, I'm responsible for the jail budget, but a lot of the maintenance spending, as I've briefed the governance board on, I really have no control. When I can't say we don't need a valve when we need a valve, and obviously, you try to, like with any budget, when you get to the end of the year, you try to say, okay, can we hold off on spending until we get into a new budget, or do we have to spend it? And I think that's something that, as far as the 3 workers, the reason I think they were put in to that budget, and I say the reason I think is because that was before I was sheriff, I think it's just a great accounting way to do it, because we've struggled with this equity with Morton County. How do we make sure that Morton is being billed fairly for services? So it was easy to put 3 maintenance workers into that budget, but still keep them under the county. One other point I would make, and I've had a conversation with Pam and Mary on this to great length. Before the county went to an IT, we were kind of on an island at the sheriff's department. We had one IT guy, and my fear was always what happens if he walks, because we have nobody at the county to fill that void. So I do like the fact that the maintenance people are cross-trained, because when you have these, I'd say, small sections where there's only 1 or 2 people, it's hard to get that cross-representation in the event you have vacancies. So I do think there's going to have to be a lot of discussion. I think we're on the right track. I like the idea of a facilities director, but I think there's also merit to, like we say in our department, a working sergeant. They're a supervisor, but they still are down in the trenches getting the job done. So I would volunteer to be a part of that working group if that's a direction you want to go.
Would it make sense to run that working group out of the Joint Commission?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I think that's a Burleigh County
Okay.
thing, and then we go back and present it to that Joint Commission, how we're going to do it. I think at the end of the day, as long as they know that we've got maintenance people, we're controlling costs as best we can, that's what I think is going to get the support of that committee, would be my belief.
Okay. I think rather than establish a committee through the county commission, is I'll go ahead and put together this committee, and then, we can meet and have discussions or whatever, rather than in public. Commissioner Munson?
I like the idea of the facilities director. I would question the supervisory role at that point, because you've got a person that's in charge of all building maintenance of all facilities, and they are educated in that maintenance side. If we separate 2 or 3 that are just for the jail, who's giving them that expertise of the information that they need for that? So I have no issue with them being underneath the jail's budget, but I still think they should report to the director, because that's where the information is coming down to them, and their education, their skills, all of that. Now where we would ask the sheriff to be the judge of their skills, to be hired to do maintenance in that facility.
Mr. Chairman.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, let me assure you, if we have a facilities director, I don't want the supervising authority. Like I said, I'm not a carpenter, I'm not a mechanic. I stay in my lane the best I can. And truly, I would want that resource, if that's the direction we're gonna go. I just wanted to say, there's a lot of options we can walk through and come up with a good solution, I think.
Well, the point here today is we're trying to get all this out so that we're all thinking about it.
about it.
There's,
Yes.
I think Pam was real clear, we're not looking to make decisions.
Right.
on this today. Commissioner Woodcock.
The joint jail committee with Morton County, didn't we give the sheriff a dollar figure or under, you could do maintenance type of things without anybody else's approval? Did we put a $25,000 limit on that?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, in the joint powers agreement, there is,
You're allowed to spend so much money
Yes,
without anybody else.
yeah, there's certain things that, as sheriff, I have the authority to do. Then there's certain things that have to come to both commissions. There's some that can be handled by the governance board. So I would say it's not, if you look at a joint powers agreement, which is the way I think it should be, it's not specific black and white, but I think you get the intent of when you should get full joint commission approval.
Commissioner Bachman.
Well, and I think one of the things too, that we're kind of getting a little bit of ahead of ourselves here, is a good qualified facilities director would have good insight on how to increase efficiencies and make sure that your needs are met, our other building needs are met. And yeah, the jail space is a little bit of a one-off, and has some special needs because of the way it's operated and the way the joint powers works. And I think a good facilities director would have some good insight for that.
But are you talking about the same facility director for all of the buildings or just for the jail?
No, for all.
All of them. Okay.
For all.
Just like what we've got now.
Right, because we can gain economy of scale in something as simple as inventories. You may
Right.
recall that we're trying to make the boilers match now with, so that the same parts we may have on hand for the boiler that the jail is gonna fit the courthouse and the Provident building. So, those kind of things, that overview. Something as simple as an inventory management system, which we don't have. Guys just go, well, I need some parts, and they go.
And that falls under a facilities director, and
Right.
that saves the
Right.
taxpayers dollars.
Right, so I asked the sheriff to start keeping track now. Even though we've been out there for, 8 years, we don't have an inventory of parts, and we don't know what we've been using and what. And by now, we should have a really good idea of what parts we need to have on hand, what kind of quantities. For example, there's, my understanding is there's certain diaphragms in the toilets that last about 6 months these days. And it used to be they'd last longer, so we don't know if it's I'm having conversations with the city about a water concern, but we don't know that that's a problem. We're just looking at what could be causing these things. So this diaphragm now used to last a long time, but now it gets about 6 months. And you'd think, okay, you got to fix the toilet. Well, the issue is out there at the jail, there's 420 toilets. And so if one of them only lasts 6 months, there's somebody's probably just working on toilets. Okay, you do a little bit of math, you can see that, so we would benefit from a inventory management or inventory control system because, sinks, O-rings, and sinks, well, there's 480 sinks, so it's different than the kind of work you do around even this building, right? And then it's 24/7. So, we'll be looking at things like that as we move forward, but that's kind of the reason that we're trying to make some of these changes.
And Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, you talk about efficiencies and saving taxpayer money. I will give kudos to Kevin on this. One of the things we've worked with our architect at the Burleigh East remodel is consistency in, like, for example, ceiling tiles. That way, we're not ordering different tiles for Burleigh East, different tiles for the courthouse. You can order tile, and then wherever you need it, it fits. So,
That's some of the things we've been working on. Okay, thanks. Anybody else want to add anything to that discussion at this point? Okay, I think we're pretty well kicked it around.
And keep in mind, this was just meant to be a conversation starter for the buildings and grounds. But we do have Kevin's retirement date is February 14th.
Yesterday.
So if
February.
we don't have a lot of time, we have to have a plan going forward. Not today, but we need to form a plan.
Okay.
I was just gonna ask the chair, is this something for next meeting, that we need to make some decisions next Monday.
Right, we want to put that on the agenda for the next county commission meeting. Discussion, what do we call it? Building and
Building and
grounds,
grounds. Yep.
discussion, building and grounds. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Woodcock.
I don't know if you all agree, but I think we should have a separate maintenance supervisor for the jail, because it's 8 years old now, and more things are happening, and I would just as soon see an independent maintenance area, or whatever you want to call it, supervisor at the jail, and ignore the other courthouse and the Provident Life Building and the other buildings we own. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if anybody agrees with me or not, but I think it should be a separate maintenance.
And that's one of the positions that is in the packet. It's the Building and Grounds Maintenance Technician 3. They're the foreman. That's the position, that's the foreman. Then we have the Facilities Director. We also have that manager position. So it's manager, or Facilities Director, one or the other. But that Building Tech 3 is the foreman.
And but he's
No,
all around our buildings, not just one.
no, what the concept was is the Building and Maintenance Tech 3s would be assigned to either like one at the detention center and one at the Provident and Courthouse in Burleigh East.
Okay.
Split them up, because your foremen are gonna be the experts on the facilities
And the twos and ones would be the
underneath, yep,
cross
yep,
information.
and they would cross.
Okay, so we have the job descriptions and there's materials to read and be prepared for, some additional discussions on that. We'll move forward with it. More conversation is.
Yeah.
So, okay, anybody else have anything to add? Okay, thank you. We are adjourned.